Meanwhile, Steven Crowder's calling people with Down syndrome the R word. Yeah, this was insane. Like, you're just a fucking bully. You're like a vicious bully if you get mad at, like, people with Down syndrome. What are you, fucking stupid? What's wrong with you? Bro, you know, dude, the fucking school shooter kids don't even do this. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, it's incredible, dude. Yeah, that's right. I was going to talk about this. Like, there was an extremely rare Matt Walsh take that was, like, kind of on the right side, even though it was for, like, awful reasons. Like, even Matt Walsh is fucking pro Down syndrome Barbie because he thinks, like, it's anti-abortion. Let's take a look at what this fucking demon had to say about this.
The world's first Barbie with Down syndrome will give children the opportunity to play with more inclusive dolls.
This doll is breaking barriers by creating the first fashion doll
with retard
Down
strength.
Is this real?
allowing more children to project their future through fashion doll play and imagine what is possible.
Mattel, Barbie's parent company, announced the new figures will soon be hitting store shelves.
Well, here's the thing. They really have been going full bore, and Mattel actually announced plans to expand this in the name of diversity before the end of the year with sickle cell Barbie.
Oh, for the
So that's something they also, you know, look, everyone's...
The world's first...
That is... Like, what's wrong with you, dude? What the fuck? Like, how are you going to bully a fucking kid with Down syndrome, dude? You're like straight up a freak at that point. Like, actually. And then, of course, he like flipped it and was like, oh, yeah, also, let's pad the deck a little bit with some of my other favorite commentary. Racism. You know? Nice, dude. Fucking riveting. I do suspect that as his divorced dad demeanor becomes more and more apparent, as people recognize that he is a divorced dad, as he's more open about his divorced dad situation, he will become more and more unhinged, I suspect. So that's fun. You guys know what happens to divorced dads. We already know. He's one of the reasons why I don't agree with your everyone can be rehabilitated take, like he's just evil. No, he 100% could be rehabilitated. It's just like always weird to talk about rehabilitation while they're in the process of being gigantic pieces of shit, so it feels like impossible. But what are you kidding me? Like 2 years down the line, if he comes out as a fucking bisexual man, apologize for everything he's done, make amends, and actively starts working against racism, like, you know, he could be re-educated and absolutely rehabilitated. But of course he will not do that because he's financially compensated to do the other thing. So that'll never happen. This lines up with his divorce. Why do you think men are checking out of the marriage pool? The death of the trad wife video thread? What the fuck is this?
Well, I agree with the veneration of the trad wife. It is impractical to think modern women would so easily return to aspiring to the trad wife ideal. Not only has the world changed, and with it the ambitions of modern...
Bro, take a look at yourself. You're calling yourself Meta Prime on the internet. Like, are you this guy? Like, you're looking for this wife, which, by the way, this is an ad. You are looking at an ad. You are being duped by an ad. You are not thinking about any of the other things that came along with, like, the condition that women were subjected to back then or any of those things. You are looking at an ad and fantasizing about an ad. You also are not this guy in the ad. You might fancy yourself as this guy in the ad, but you're not him. Not only is this fake, but you're also not even like the person that you aspire to be. This person is not, this fake person made by Don Draper, okay, is not a guy who would have a Twitter account called MetaPrime that makes like memes. Okay? That's what I mean. Like, a lot of these people behave this way. Crowder is clearly G-worded, but I'm about to implode from the inside because of it. Yes, I coined a term. Also, bro, please don't play that clip again. I use headphones and everyone around me just threatened to arrest me. He said G-worded. The fuck? No, he means gay. And also, I think Crowder's repressed sexuality certainly plays a role in him being a fucking donkey like this. And he's also financially compensated for behaving like a fucking unhinged animal on the timeline. So it doesn't seem like he's going to change when he's being financially rewarded. See what I'm saying? Anyway. This was so unhinged, dude. You're like, I know that conservatives regularly vice signal. Like, that's their job, is to just like basically appear as unhinged as humanly possible. Like, in an effort to, triangulate their audience's like manic state. Okay. And come across like that's their policy, is just like being a bully. But there are lines that you basically fucking go beyond where, you're just like a gigantic piece of shit. You're like objectively just a piece of shit. And like bullying Down syndrome people is that line, in my opinion. Anyway, even Matt Walsh had this take. I know some conservatives are calling this woke, but I don't see it. It's pro-life. The left is exterminating Down syndrome children. They are victims of an actual eugenics campaign. This is one case where inclusion and representation actually is important. Obviously, Mattel didn't intend for this to be pro-life, but we should embrace it that way. Take a cultural win, even when it was supposed to be a cultural win for us. Great stuff, man. No, because he's saying that, I mean, this is a literal thing. This is a relatively controversial subject in leftist spaces that people have talked about. Nick Mullen has joked about it, kind of, on back in the day on his center-left podcast, if I do recall. He has pondered about this concept of like whether or not parents aborting their children with like genetic disabilities is actually eugenics. Okay.
Barbie, qui est une actrice 2021. Je trouve qu'elle a sa place parmi toutes les Barbie. Moi, j'ai ma place dans la société et je connais mon expérience et on peut vivre heureux avec.
Barbie can play an important role in a child's early experiences. And we're dedicated to combating social stigma and enabling all children to see themselves in Barbie, as well as have a Barbie that reflects the world around them.
Je représente Barbie, qui est une actrice 2021.
Aborting people because of their disabilities is the fucking definition of eugenics, the core strategy. I just don't consider abortion to be murder. So, I have a difference in opinion. I think murdering people for having genetic disabilities is eugenics. But plenty of like understandable medical decisions are made in this regard all the fucking time. And it's not just about Down syndrome either. No one is saying you should be forced to have a pregnancy, and no one is saying you should be forced to have an abortion because you have your fetus is definitely going to have a heritable genetic disability. Eugenics isn't just murder, it's social planning. Abortion is one of the many techniques of negative eugenics. Yes. It's not eugenics because nobody's enforcing a standard of mandatory abortion. Exactly. That's like arguing that if there was a child, there was a way to ensure your child was born without disabilities, that would be genocide with people with disabilities. I know. And that is sometimes things that disability activists do unironically advocate for when they talk about how, it's like at the cutting edge of disability activism, where you do standpoint theory to such a fucking degree that you're literally talking about how like, this is a bad thing overall. You're saying that like having a disability is a bad thing overall when my disability doesn't define me, but it also certainly makes my experiences unique. We talked about this with the Mr. Beast thing. It's not eugenics to abort fetuses with known genetic disorders. That should not even be entertained. It goes right into pro-lifers' hands. No one wants to wipe out people with Down syndrome, but the mother has the right to make an educated decision about whether or not they want to raise a child they will outlive. No one is saying you should force women to abort their fetuses with genetic disabilities. That's what I'm saying. And it goes far beyond Down syndrome as well. There are plenty of genetic disabilities, heritable traits that would cause complications at birth, cause complications of the mother's life, that would cause complications for the child if they are even able to successfully, if the mother's able to successfully give birth. These are all medical decisions that a woman should make after speaking to a fucking medical professional. The point is to offer people that choice. I don't necessarily disagree, but I think it's a pretty significant implication of the disability rights movement's argument. I didn't even say this was the disability rights movement's argument as a whole. I never said that. I said that in certain edge cases, there are people that are advocating under the guise of disability rights movement or are disability activists themselves that do say things like that. And I pointed to a direct example of someone who I disagreed with in the past, not that long ago, the dude who wrote the Mr. Beast article about like curing blindness. And how treating people with some level of blindness is actually, somehow encroaching on the rights or the understanding of society as a whole with those who have incurable blindness. Does that make sense? It's crazy. Y'all basically saying if a mother has a kid, they don't think they will they're allowed to abort it, so that's insane. Wait, what? That's not what people are saying at all. As a matter of fact, the reason why you said that instead of what I was saying is because you recognize that the argument that I presented, especially when it comes to viability of the fetus and viability of the carrier, that's actually a good argument. So you were like, yeah, fuck that. I'm just not going to hear that. And I'm going to turn around and instead say a whole different thing that you didn't say. Like at the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break. And if you want to abort those ads, you no longer want to see them. All you need to do is subscribe, which you could do for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. That's it. Abort those fucking ads. Aboribos for all. With a gifted sub, you can allow others the gift of being able to abort the ads at the top of the hour too. Share it with other people. Aisha Esquire, thank you for the 10 gifted subs, allowing 10 people to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. Saint Kia, thank you for the 10 gifted subs, allowing 10 people to also no longer see the ads at the top of the hour. The point is always allowing people to have the choice. Okay? As a person with cystic fibrosis, I don't want my kid inheriting my condition. And if you do allow that, that is cruel. I don't think not wanting a kid with a chronic illness is eugenics. As a person with cystic fibrosis, yeah. It's like it goes a little bit towards antinatalism, I guess, where it's like, but if you've especially lived through it and you don't want anyone else to live through it, then it's totally understandable not to want that. BC Bray and Abysmal Manic, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. I have a child with disabilities. My sweet teenager is not much nicer than most of you. I mean, there are plenty of people with disabilities in this chat. I just read someone with a heritable disability who was having a difference in opinion. Nobody said that if you have a disability, you're a bad person. Again, you just made that thing up. I don't understand why. I understand why you'd be emotional about a circumstance like this, but I don't understand why people constantly fucking just make shit up about other people that no one has said. Like, this is the gene editing conversation, basically. It's very frustrating because your ass will read all this. That's why, I guess. It's always the pancakes waffles equation. Someone says, I like pancakes, and then 11 people chime in being like, you want people that like waffles to be fucking murdered. It's like, no, we didn't say that. There's a whole ass different, that's a completely different sentence. That's a completely different, like, moral conundrum that is outside of what I believe. It's perfectly unreasonable to come across like this. And you would never fucking say that in a million years in a normal conversation as you're sitting across from someone, but you feel comfortable under the guise of anonymity on the internet to behave this way, even though in the real world you will come across like an unhinged psychopath. This is such a dangerous debate because it plays right in the hands of conservatives. You should be able to abort a fetus for any reason, like literally any reason. It's not murder. Nobody's mandating you to abort fetuses with genetic abnormalities, so this is a non-issue. Yeah, I know, which is what I said, but it doesn't matter because people literally have broken-ass fucking brains where they're just like, wait a minute. Like, it's what happens when, like, intersectionality happens, where, like, people forget the main point of contention for abortions is, like, or the main defense for abortions revolves around giving full bodily autonomy to the carrier. Okay?